Ladies and gentlemen, today we dive into a topic that is often silenced, misunderstood, or dressed up in half-truths: abstinence. For centuries, people have been told to practice abstinence, but very few truly understand the real, shocking truths behind it. It's not just about avoiding intimacy. It's about unlocking hidden strengths, discipline, and clarity that can reshape your life. Many people think abstinence is just about saying no, but in reality it's about saying yes. Yes to control, yes to focus, yes to purpose, and yes to unlocking the best version of yourself. So today, I will reveal 7 powerful truths about abstinence that no one dares to tell you. Most people think abstinence is simply about controlling physical desires, but the real battlefield is in the mind. The shocking truth is that abstinence is not about suppressing something. It's about mastering yourself. When you practice abstinence, you are training your brain to rise above impulses and to choose long-term fulfillment over short-term gratification. Think about it. In a world full of instant pleasures, scrolling endlessly on social media, watching shows, indulging in food, or chasing temporary highs, very few people can actually say no to themselves. And yet those who do, those who embrace abstinence, gain something extraordinary: mental discipline. This discipline isn't just limited to one area of life. When you can say no to your strongest urges, suddenly you find it easier to say no to procrastination, to laziness, to toxic habits, and even to negative people. You build a kind of inner strength that makes you unstoppable. It's like training a muscle. Every time you resist temptation, you make your mental willpower stronger. Over time, this discipline becomes your greatest weapon. Successful athletes, entrepreneurs, and leaders all understand one hidden truth: discipline is more powerful than motivation. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline stays. Abstinence forces you to practice discipline at its highest level. It demands that you delay gratification, and in doing so, rewires your brain for focus, patience, and persistence. And here's something deeper: abstinence helps you break free from the invisible chains of addiction. Most people don't realize how controlled they are by their desires until they try to stop. When you practice abstinence, the cravings come, the urges scream, and yet you choose control. This struggle reveals your true power. Instead of being a slave to urges, you become a master of your destiny. Imagine having that kind of control in every aspect of life: studies, business, health, or relationships. Imagine being able to resist distractions and stay focused on what truly matters. That is the gift of mental discipline that abstinence offers. It doesn't make you weak or deprived, it makes you powerful, focused, and unshakable. In short, abstinence is not about losing pleasure, it's about gaining power. The shocking truth is that when you build mental discipline through abstinence, you become a person who doesn't just survive life, you command it. One of the most overlooked and shocking truths about abstinence is how it completely transforms your energy levels and sharpens your focus. Many people believe energy is only about food, sleep, or exercise. Yes, those matter. But what few realize is that our habits around instant gratification directly drain or preserve our life force. When someone practices abstinence, they stop scattering their energy in different directions. Instead of constantly chasing temporary pleasures, their mind and body begin to store and redirect that power into more productive areas. It's as if the engine of your life, which was running at half speed, suddenly shifts into full throttle. Think of it like water leaking from a bucket. If the bucket has many holes, no matter how much water you pour in, it will always be empty. Similarly, when you're constantly giving in to urges, your mental and physical energy keeps leaking out. Abstinence is like sealing those holes. It keeps your energy contained, conserved, and available for things that truly matter. And here's the most fascinating part. This energy doesn't just make you feel awake, it heightens your focus. You start noticing that your thoughts are clearer, your decisions sharper, and your ability to concentrate longer is stronger than ever before. Many who practice abstinence report being able to work harder, study longer, and pursue creative projects with a level of intensity they never had before. Why does this happen? Because abstinence removes distraction. Every time you resist temptation, your brain becomes more disciplined, and your mental clarity grows. You're no longer wasting energy fighting battles between what you want now and what you want most. Instead, all that power is redirected toward your higher goals. And this isn't just a theory, it's visible in history. Great thinkers, leaders, warriors often practiced self-restraint as a way to channel their strength. They knew that if you conserve your vital energy, you can use it to achieve greatness. Imagine going through life with double the energy and laser-sharp focus. That's the hidden power abstinence gifts you. But here's the shocking twist. Most people never experience this surge of energy and focus because they've never gone long enough without giving in. They live in a constant cycle of exhaustion without realizing they're draining themselves through habits that feel normal. The truth is, abstinence is not deprivation, it's redirection. It takes what is scattered and makes it whole. It transforms restless energy into powerful momentum. So, when you hear that abstinence increases energy, don't think of it as just having more stamina. Think of it as unlocking a secret fuel tank inside you, a reserve of focus, drive, and life force that you didn't even know you had. Once you taste this power, you'll realize that abstinence doesn't hold you back. It pushes you forward like nothing else can. When most people hear the word freedom, they immediately imagine doing whatever they want. Eating what they crave, spending how they like, living without restrictions, and following every desire without question. That's the definition society sells us. Freedom means unlimited choices and instant gratification. But here's the shocking truth. That is not freedom at all. That is slavery dressed up as liberty. True freedom is not about always saying yes. It's about having the strength to say no, even when everything inside you wants to say yes. Abstinence is one of the most powerful ways to test this truth. Why? Because it exposes who is really in control, you or your urges. Let's look deeper. When you cannot stop scrolling your phone for even 10 minutes, are you free? When you cannot resist eating unhealthy food, despite knowing it harms your health, are you free? When you cannot live without temporary pleasures, even though they drain your energy and distract you from your purpose, are you really free? The uncomfortable reality is this: most people are slaves to their impulses. They think they are choosing, but in reality, their cravings are choosing for them. Abstinence is like a mirror. It shows you whether you are the master or the servant of your desires. When you choose abstinence, you are not denying yourself happiness. You are proving to yourself that you control your body, mind, and heart. You are saying, I am stronger than my urges. I am free to choose discipline. I am free to choose clarity. I am free to rise above. And this is where abstinence becomes a radical act of freedom. Anyone can indulge. Anyone can give in to temptation, but very few can hold back. That rare strength separates the leaders from the followers, the disciplined from the distracted, the free from the enslaved. The deeper truth is that abstinence liberates you from being ruled by impulse. Once you gain that control, your confidence skyrockets. You stop being pulled in every direction by cravings, people, or external pressures. Instead, you begin to move with purpose, with clarity, with direction. That is real freedom, freedom from control by anything outside yourself. Think about it this way: if your happiness depends on temporary pleasure, then you are chained to it. But if your happiness comes from self-control, discipline, and inner strength, then no one can take it from you. That is the shocking gift of abstinence. It proves that freedom isn't about doing more, it's about needing less. So the next time someone says abstinence is about restriction, remind yourself of this truth: abstinence is the ultimate test of freedom. It shows whether you live like a prisoner of your urges or like a king who rules his own kingdom. Abstinence is often misunderstood as only a physical practice, but in reality, it is a profound spiritual and emotional journey. When a person practices abstinence, they are not merely controlling their body, they are unlocking hidden dimensions of their inner self. This is where the true depth of abstinence lies, and it is a truth that few ever talk about. At the surface, abstinence looks like a denial of pleasure. But once you begin the journey, you discover something extraordinary. By stepping away from constant indulgence, you begin to hear the voice of your soul more clearly. The noise of cravings, the endless distractions, restless desires, all of them start to fade. What emerges is a calm, steady presence within you, a presence that is deeply spiritual. Truly, abstinence becomes a form of purification. When you no longer seek comfort in temporary escapes, you turn inward. You ask deeper questions. Who am I without my desires? What do I truly value? What is the purpose of my existence? This reflection leads to a spiritual awakening, where you realize that life is not about endless consumption but about growth, meaning, and connection with something greater than yourself, whether that is God, the universe, or your higher self. Emotionally, abstinence is just as transformative. In a world where people often confuse lust for love, abstinence forces you to confront your emotions with honesty. You begin to see the difference between attachment and genuine connection, between loneliness and self-respect, between craving and true care. Without the fog of constant gratification, your emotions become clearer, purer, and more powerful. Abstinence also teaches patience, and patience is the foundation of emotional strength. When you learn to wait, to delay gratification, you become less reactive and more centered. Small irritations no longer control you. Sudden moods no longer break you. You gain an emotional stability that few people possess. This strength allows you to build healthier relationships, communicate with empathy, and love without desperation. And here's the shocking truth: abstinence deepens intimacy. Not shallow intimacy, but the kind that touches the soul. When you practice abstinence, you begin to see people for who they are, not just what they can give you physically or emotionally. Your relationships become built on trust, respect, and shared values. You connect not skin to skin, but heart to heart and spirit to spirit. Historically, many great spiritual leaders and thinkers practiced abstinence, not because they hated pleasure, because they discovered it opened a doorway to higher consciousness. They knew that by restraining the body, they could awaken the spirit. Knew that by saying no to fleeting desires, they could say yes to eternal truths. So, when people dismiss abstinence as just restriction, they miss the deeper reality. Abstinence is a path to inner depth. It is about peeling away the surface layers of distraction until you discover the treasure hidden within you. Emotionally, you become stronger. Spiritually, you become wiser. And together, these qualities make you not just a person who survives life, a soul who understands life at its deepest level. One of the most shocking truths about abstinence that almost no one talks about is its power to completely transform the way we build relationships. Most people think relationships are about constant attention, attraction, and intimacy, but abstinence reveals a deeper truth. Strongest relationships are not built on physical connection, but on trust, respect, and genuine emotional bonds. When people live in a culture of instant gratification, relationships often become shallow. Many connections today are based on what someone can give in the moment: pleasure, comfort, validation, or entertainment, rather than on who they truly are as a person. This is why so many modern relationships feel temporary, unstable, or unsatisfying. When you practice abstinence, something shifts. Suddenly, the focus moves away from the surface and toward the core of a person's character. Abstinence forces you to slow down. Instead of rushing into relationships driven by impulse, you begin to evaluate people differently. You ask questions like, do I truly respect this person? Do our values align? Can we grow together long term? Without the distraction of constant gratification, you see people with clarity. You begin to notice qualities like kindness, honesty, patience, and loyalty, the very qualities that sustain relationships for decades. And here's the shocking part. Abstinence doesn't weaken attraction. It strengthens it. Because when you remove the temporary excitement of physical indulgence, you create space for a deeper form of intimacy to grow. Conversations become more meaningful. Shared experiences feel more powerful. Love transforms from a fleeting feeling into a grounded commitment. Emotionally, abstinence also teaches patience and respect. Instead of demanding instant satisfaction, you learn to appreciate someone's presence, effort, and personality. You value the small things: listening, supporting, understanding, things that build unshakable trust. These habits become the foundation of healthier, long-lasting relationships. Spiritually, abstinence brings reverence into love. You stop seeing others as objects to fulfill a need, and instead see them as souls to honor, respect, and cherish. Shift alone can take a relationship from shallow to sacred. Think about it. How many relationships today fall apart because they were built only on surface-level attraction? And how many lifelong partnerships are built because two people connected deeply beyond the physical? Abstinence ensures you fall into the second category. It gives you the patience to wait, the wisdom to choose carefully, and the strength to build something real. So, the shocking truth is this: abstinence doesn't keep love away. It protects love, shields relationships from being based on impulse, and instead makes them rooted in loyalty, authenticity, and mutual respect. When abstinence is part of your life, you don't just find someone to spend time with. You find someone to build a future with. One of the most uncomfortable and shocking truths about abstinence is that it acts like a mirror. It doesn't just show you your strengths, it shows you your weaknesses. And often, those weaknesses come in the form of hidden addictions that most people don't even realize they have. We live in a time where addiction isn't always obvious. When people hear the word addiction, they think of substances like drugs or alcohol. The reality is much more subtle and much more dangerous. People are addicted to their phones, to social media likes, to Netflix, to gossip, junk food, to shopping, to scrolling, to lustful habits, to approval from others. These addictions may not destroy your body overnight, but they slowly weaken your mind, your focus, and your self-control. Now here's where abstinence comes in. It exposes these hidden addictions with brutal honesty. The moment you decide to practice abstinence, running through the park, whether from physical urges, from toxic habits, or from instant pleasures, you suddenly feel resistance. Your mind and body begin to fight back, craving the comfort they once had. That restless feeling, that constant urge, is the addiction revealing itself. Most people never discover how controlled they are until they try to stop. The shocking truth is that abstinence is like shining a flashlight in the corners of your soul. It shows you what you've been depending on, what you've been running to every time you felt bored, lonely, stressed, or insecure. And for many, this realization is painful, because it proves they were not as free as they thought. They were prisoners of their own habits. But here's the gift. Once the addiction is exposed, you can finally fight it. You cannot defeat an enemy you cannot see. Abstinence gives you sight, forces you to confront the uncomfortable truth that your cravings have been running your life. And in that confrontation, you are given a choice: stay enslaved or break free. And make no mistake, breaking free is not easy. Abstinence brings discomfort, frustration, even inner battles that feel overwhelming. But these struggles are proof of growth. Every time you resist, you reclaim a piece of your power. Every time you say no, you take back control from the addiction that once controlled you. Slowly but surely, abstinence transforms weakness into strength, chaos into clarity, and dependency into freedom. History is full of great leaders, thinkers, and warriors who practiced abstinence, not because it was comfortable, but because it revealed their vulnerabilities and forced them to overcome them. They understood that the road to greatness always passes through the valley of self-confrontation. So here is the shocking truth. Abstinence is not just about resisting. It is about revealing. It uncovers the chains you didn't even know you were wearing. It shows you the silent addictions that drain your energy, steal your focus, and keep you small. And once you see those chains, you can finally break them. In the end, abstinence doesn't just expose addiction, it destroys it. And in destroying it, you find a kind of freedom, clarity, and power that very few people in today's world will ever experience. Perhaps the most shocking truth about abstinence is this: far from making you weaker, it actually unlocks hidden strength and confidence that you never imagined you had. Society often paints abstinence as deprivation, as if it strips you of joy or makes you less complete. But the reality is the opposite. Abstinence is not about losing power. It is about discovering the mental that was within you all along. Here's why. Every time you resist temptation, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your impulses. That single act of self-control creates a ripple effect in your mind. Suddenly, you begin to believe in your own strength, and belief is everything. Once you truly believe that you are stronger than your cravings, stronger than your distractions, stronger than your fears, your confidence begins to soar. This confidence isn't the shallow kind that depends on looks, wealth, or approval from others. It is a deeper, unshakable confidence that comes from knowing I can master myself. You stand taller, walk with purpose, carry yourself with dignity because you know you are in control of your life. Abstinence also reveals another shocking gift. It introduces you to your hidden reservoirs of strength. Most people never discover how powerful they are because they always give in when things get hard. They quit when it gets uncomfortable, escape when it gets painful. But abstinence forces you to sit with discomfort, to wrestle with urges, to endure temptation. And in doing so, you realize that you are far stronger than you ever thought. It's like discovering a new gear in your engine. You thought you could only handle so much, but abstinence pushes you beyond your limits. You endure, you rise, you conquer. That resilience becomes your secret weapon, not just in abstinence, but in every battle of life. Whether it's chasing your dreams, overcoming obstacles, or facing hardship, and this newfound strength naturally transforms into courage. Once you know you can control yourself, you are no longer intimidated by the challenges of the world. You don't fear rejection, failure, or judgment, because you know your worth does not come from outside, it comes from within. That's why those who practice abstinence often radiate a quiet, running through the powerful confidence. They don't need to prove themselves to anyone. Their discipline speaks louder than words. Think of it like a warrior sharpening his sword. Every time you resist temptation, you are sharpening your inner blade. And when life throws challenges at you, you wield that blade with precision, clarity, and courage. This is the strength abstinence unlocks, the strength to face life fully awake, fully present, fully empowered. So the shocking truth is this: abstinence is not weakness. It is the birth of true power. It doesn't strip you of joy. It strips you of dependency. It doesn't take away your confidence. It gives you confidence that can never be shaken. And in a world where so many people are broken by their own impulses, the person who can master abstinence stands as a giant, strong, confident, and free. So, my friends, abstinence is not the dull, restrictive concept the world makes it out to be. It is not about weakness. It is about strength. It is not about saying no to life. It is about saying yes to a higher version of yourself. Each truth we've explored shows that abstinence is not a prison, but a pathway to freedom, energy, clarity, and unshakable confidence. Shocking truth is that abstinence is not about what you lose. It's about what you gain. You gain focus. You gain discipline. You gain healthier relationships, spiritual depth, and the power to break free from hidden addictions. Most importantly, you gain the rare strength to master yourself, and that is the greatest victory a human being can ever achieve. So I leave you with this challenge to test yourself. Dare to rise above impulse. Dare to discover the hidden greatness inside you. Because when you do, you will realize that abstinence is not a limitation, it is a superpower. And once you embrace it, you will never look at yourself, your relationships, or your future the same way again.